your breath, you fill up my lungs. And if my mind worked backwards just for a minute, I'd hold on to you before the memory's gone. I remember you, you lift my spirit. With you high is all I'm feeling. Remember how we felt alive. I remember you, you make me stronger. Can't go without it much longer. Remember, remember, I remember you, you lift my spirit. With you high is all I'm feeling. Remember how we felt alive. I remember you, you make me stronger. Can't go without it much longer. Remember, remember.
All right. Let's see what we got here. The medical profession is about to collapse.
Hi
and
everyone,
it's
Dr.
well
Sunil
deserved.
Dand, internal medicine physician.
Heck yeah.
Welcome to another video.
I don't go to the doctor
The
anyway.
medical
I just have to
profession
stay fucking
is
healthy,
collapsing.
you know?
Completely collapsing, and we are going to see enormous changes
Bag of weed,
over
bag
the
of
next
weed.
10 to
Everything's
20
better with
years.
a
And I
bag
think
of
a
weed.
lot of these changes
That's
are
right.
sorely needed.
Don't need crack.
Now,
you
I was
don't
having
need
an
speed, 'cause
interesting
everything's better
conversation
with
the
a
other
bag of
day with
weed.
some doctors, and the topic
bro.
of nurse practitioners and physician assistants came up. And what I was hearing was that doctors were feeling threatened by
Fucking
NPs
doctors.
and PAs. Now, I've stated my views on this clearly before in a previous video. I think nurse practitioners and physician assistants are an outstanding addition to the clinician workforce, and they are clearly needed because doctors are
Yeah,
not
boy.
meeting demand, and there are enormous gaps in healthcare. So we do need additional clinicians, whether or not they have a traditional medical degree. Anyway, these doctors were feeling very
We
threatened, and
30.
saying that nurse practitioners and physician assistants were doing
Smoke
a
our
lot
morning
of the
bowl
work
and
of
get ready for the
doctors,
day.
and things
Go
were
put
really
in some
changing,
work
and
on a
doctors were losing a lot
Saturday.
of prestige, autonomy,
And some
etc.
moolahs.
And I can tell you this, a few years ago, I would have had a lot of sympathy with that viewpoint. I would have thought, yes, doctors work so hard to get to where they are, and they deserve to be compensated well.
Fuck
They
doctors.
deserve various perks
Bunch
of
of
the job,
fucking cunts.
whatever they are. There really aren't too many perks when you compare being a doctor with other corporate equivalent jobs. But anyway, I would have had a lot of sympathy with that point of view that, yes, let's protect the profession as much as possible. Fast forward to today, and my views have completely changed as my eyes have been completely
Fuck 'em.
opened to what healthcare has become and how the medical profession has surrendered completely the traditional practice of medicine, and doctors have nobody to blame but themselves. Is every doctor responsible for what's happened to healthcare? Absolutely not. But the
Yes.
medical profession as a whole
If
has
you stand
completely
aside,
sold
you are
out. We've
complicit.
had terrible leadership, and
Just
really
like
doctors today kind
all
of deserve
cops
what
are
the
to
medical
blame,
profession
or
is
the way
going to
cops
face
act.
over the next 10
Thin
to
blue
20
line
years.
should not
Because
even be
let's
a
think
thing.
about this. Doctor leaders everywhere
If you
have
fuck
made
up,
medicine
you should
more
be held
about
accountable
themselves than
by your
about the
fucking
patient.
peers
The patient
of
comes
all
a distant
people.
second, or even third, or even fourth. Let's take the United States and United Kingdom, two very different countries in terms of healthcare systems, but doctors behave in a similar way. In the United States, you have huge physician lobbying power of various different specialties. Some specialties are obviously more powerful than others, but it's always about trying to maintain maximum compensation. How will any doctor maintain a certain salary, preferably increase it? That is their number one
Fucking
goal, and
cunts. All they
collecting as
care
much
about is
money as
money.
possible within their coffers. I'm talking about physician societies.
Did you hear
in the
about
United Kingdom,
the
let's take
doctors
the
that
National
were
Health
getting
Service.
paid to
Now, doctors
administer
in the United Kingdom, if
COVID
they hear this, may not like it.
vaccines?
But really, when you look at the situation over there, what's happened over the
Yeah,
last
they
few
were
years
getting paid
with
massive
strikes,
amounts.
etc.,
Nobody
I know
wants
that the superficial
anything to do with
facade
this
is all
shit.
about, yes,
I mean,
we
you're
want to
fucking dumb
keep
if you
our
took it.
treasured
Yeah, I'ma say it,
NHS
you're dumb
and
as
we
fuck.
want to deliver great care. It's all about the patients. But is it really? Because actually, if you look at the demands of doctors, number one is always pay and working conditions for themselves. The patient comes a distant second.
Right.
Doctors, and of course this could apply to
Fucking
any
greedy
profession.
cunts.
Most professions out there
You're
are
in a
like this.
fucking
They become
career
self-serving
that
and
you're
they
supposed
become
to
a
help
gravy
people,
train. But when we're talking
only if
about
they pay you
doctors, we're
enough,
talking
right?
about the
You're a fucking
health
piece
of
of shit
a
is what you
nation
are. That's
that
why I
is at
couldn't beat
stake.
it.
Look what's happened with healthcare over the last 20 years. It would be one thing if doctors were behaving this way and wanting to protect their sacred profession, if healthcare was actually improving. But look at what's happened.
It's on the
Everybody out there
decline.
has an experience and a story to share. You can't find a primary care doctor in your area. It's almost impossible to get GP appointments in various different locations in the United States and United Kingdom. Every single year, people get sicker. Chronic diseases
Dude, doctors
are
do the least
soaring.
work I've ever
Costs
fucking
are
seen anybody do.
skyrocketing
You
in
sit in
the
a
United
fucking
States.
room
Many people go
for
bankrupt
fucking 30
every year
minutes, an
because
hour
they
or
can't
two,
afford
and then they
healthcare.
come in and they talk
Outcomes
to you for
are
5
getting
minutes
worse,
and
and life
tell the nurse to
expectancy
give you
is
some
falling.
fucking medicine
So you
and
tell
leave.
me,
And then
if
they
by
go on,
all
like,
of
go
these
play golf.
metrics, healthcare is failing, the medical
Fuck
system
that.
is getting worse, people are finding it more difficult to get care, then why do doctors deserve to have their quote-unquote prestige maintained? Why do they deserve to have their relatively decent salaries
they're
maintained
really pieces
when
of
everything is getting worse? What is the logical argument for that? That they've studied a long time to become doctors? That doesn't quite cut it for me. Does it cut it for you? It should all be about having a good system. You take
Prices
the
way
average
too high,
physician
you need to
society
cut
in the
it.
United States. It's entirely self-serving. Go
Fuck
to any
outta here.
doctor conference and go into their exhibit hall, and you will find who is sponsoring that physician organization. Big business, big pharmaceutical companies, big pharma, millions of dollars every year.
Shit, hell
Why
yeah.
would the physician society be loyal to anyone else when they are
Fired
being
up,
funded by
fired
big
up,
business
fire in the
interests?
hole.
It is a complete
Fire
and
in
utter
the
sellout.
hole!
So I want to
La, la, la,
focus
la, la,
on
la, la,
three
la, la,
particular
la, la,
ways
la, la,
that
la, la.
healthcare and the medical profession is going to find
Fuck the
themselves
medical
in a
profession.
very different place within a few years. Number one,
Wow.
artificial intelligence, AI. I know that's become a very commonly used term nowadays, and a lot of people don't understand what it means, but the implications for healthcare
AI is
are
coming for the
enormous.
doctors.
And most doctors right now are sleepwalking. They do not understand how artificial intelligence is going to completely change the practice of medicine. Diagnosis, management, the way patient records are analyzed, the way that their results are analyzed, it's all going to change with artificial intelligence. Entire specialties might be completely replaced. Can anyone tell me a logical argument why a computer can't look at a scan better than a doctor? Traditional radiologists are going to be in trouble because there is no way that once we make good artificial intelligence, a computer won't be able to read a scan much better than the human eye. You might have a human eye overseeing it, but I do not see any circumstances by which a computer won't quickly overtake a human. That is coming up very
Indeed.
soon. Number two, the explosion
It
of
will.
nurse practitioners and physician assistants, NPs and PAs. As I already mentioned, this is an area that a lot of doctors are finding threatening right now, but we need extra clinicians at the front lines, and my own personal experiences of nurse practitioners and physician assistants
Because,
have
like I
been
said, doctors
overwhelmingly
don't do
positive.
shit.
They are very smart, they are dedicated, they often have more time with patients, and whether I've communicated with NPs or PAs as colleagues, or even when I've met them at conferences, or I receive emails and messages, my own personal experience has been very positive, and I am tremendously happy that nurse practitioners and physician assistants are working with us at the front lines, and they will continue to do more and more of the work that traditionally doctors used to do, and I don't think that this will be confined only to North America. It's already happening in the United Kingdom and many countries in Europe. Why train a doctor for so many years when a nurse practitioner or physician assistant can be trained to do the same work? I do not accept the argument from some doctors that you need these excessive levels of training to perform basic functions. I do not believe that, and I know that policymakers in various countries see it the same way. Doctors cannot hold on to doing work that can be done easily by other professionals. And number 3, you, the general public. You are the ones that will initiate big change within the medical profession. You will shake things up. I really sense that we're reaching a tipping point in many countries, United States, United Kingdom, for different reasons in different systems. But I feel like the general public has had enough. Every year in the United States, for example, healthcare insurance keeps going up and up. People keep getting less and less of a service. It's harder and harder to get appointments. In the United Kingdom, even worse. Almost impossible to get good care and follow up quickly in many circumstances. And all people are seeing on the news is how unhappy doctors are, how they're demanding more pay, better benefits, etc. in a failing system. How long do you think it is, realistically, before the general public turns on the medical profession and says, hold on, you are the doctors here.
Shit, half
Every
of us
year,
already have.
our
I've turned
healthcare
on
is
the medical
getting worse.
profession. Shit,
When
all
are you
they
going
do
to step up? In an
send old
ideal
people to
world,
hospice to
doctors
die.
should
I
be
mean, that's what
steering
they're
the
trying to
ship,
do. Let everybody
making
die. Fuck it. We don't
healthcare
wanna
better.
fucking
That
fix
is not
shit. We
happening
don't
by
wanna
any
medicate
stretch
you or
of the
fix
imagination.
anything.
I think
No.
in many countries, public
Go
support
home
for
and
the
get the
medical
fuck outta
profession
here, bro.
is wearing quite thin.
Fuck the
So those are
man,
some
fuck
ways
the
that I
doctors and fuck the
foresee
government that
big,
backs them and
big
tells them what
changes
the fuck
within
to
the
do.
medical profession ahead. I'm a
Fuck
doctor
that.
myself. Once more, this is not an attack against any one doctor, but I believe the medical profession has completely sold out, and they totally deserve what is about to come to them over the next few years. And
Fuck
if any
yeah.
doctor out there
Fuck
thinks
yeah.
they can shield themselves from these changes, well, good luck to you, because you are absolutely not going to be able to do that. Big change ahead. Better
The whole
brace
system
yourself
is sick.
for that.
It's
Thanks everyone
not
for watching. Feel
fixable
free to
by
comment down
doctors.
below. Check out my website and my free
This whole
downloads.
system's
Those links
gonna
are
have
down
to
below.
collapse
Hit the
before
like
it
button
can
if
be
you like this
fucking
video and the bell
rebuilt
button
from
for
the
more similar
ashes
videos in the
a better
future.
way.
We will speak
It
again
just is what
very
it is.
soon.
Sad but true. A Gaza ceasefire deal. Hope for it, but don't expect much.
Alright everyone, now we have an Israeli proposal for
I
a
really
ceasefire
doubt
deal
this.
in Gaza that
I
would
highly
effectively
doubt that.
suspend the fighting that's going on
There will
in
be no
Palestine right
ceasefire.
now,
Israel's
returning
trying to
hostages to Israel,
rape fucking
most of which
Gaza.
probably come back tattered and in caskets, but I mean, you've repatriated the remains.
I'm
That's
not
kind of
historically been a
diplomatically
big Israel
meaningful.
hater, but
Don't even,
I
you know,
think
if somebody
they have
did
fucking
survive,
really
by now they've been
overreacted.
victimized
Screw the
enough so
gooch.
that their brain has probably been completely shattered. So, under the circumstances, I think I would rather have just been executed by
that
Hamas
shit.
instead of being returned alive. Definitely be on a pension, a disability pension for the rest of your life. This may or may not be a thing. Right? Biden came out the other day and was crowing about it. Oh, I'm helping to broker this here ceasefire deal that was not actually dreamed up by me. It was dreamed up by a third party. After having ignored several situations, and here's the rub. Here's the real problem. Do you remember, months ago, Biden came out trying to be the big boy. You know, he's got his balls up and he's hitching his suspenders. He's getting ready to take you out behind the woodshed. He told the Israelis, if you move into Rafah, that crosses a red line. They moved into Rafah, into the border region, in order to take control of the border outpost there. There was some scattered skirmishes. What did the Joe Biden administration do? Well,
Hey,
this
how's it
isn't really
going,
crossing the red line.
Mr.
They're not invading
Carl,
Rafah
I
or anything.
suppose
They
that's
took over a border outpost. Yes, it's in Rafah, and we told
We
them
up
not to
in here,
physically
we
go
done
there.
alright, we,
But, you know, it's all fine.
smoke some,
We'll keep sending
you
it.
know.
We'll make it kind of sort of conditional. Just don't go into Rafah at large. What did we have to report on a few days ago? Israeli tanks were roaming through the streets in the middle of Rafah City. Biden did nothing. Now all of a sudden he's acting like the big boy for having brokered a peace deal that he didn't actually
How's it
broker
going there?
at all,
Wherever
that
you
may
at?
or may not actually go
up,
through,
buddy?
while dealing with a third-party entity that violated his own effective command to that state, which is effectively an arm of the United States, not to go into Rafah. And he's acting like everything will be hunky-dory. My hope
We
is
in
that
here
the peace deal,
talk about the news. We
ceasefire,
just
whatever
watched
you
the
want to
video
call
about the
it,
fucking
goes through.
medical
So the
industry,
remains of the
doctors
dead
too
hostages,
demanding
which is
and
much
not
of what
doing
you're going to
enough.
get, they're repatriated.
is what it is.
Israel is not shooting people. What I expect, though,
Do
is
you
that
have
under
any
the circumstances,
thoughts
there
on
are two
Israel
problems.
that you're willing
The
to
first
share?
problem is that Netanyahu did promise the Israeli people that he would completely destroy Hamas's leadership. He will kill every Hamas leader. Is it physically possible? Maybe. I mean, it's a limited number of people in a small area, and the IDF is much more technologically sophisticated. Maybe. Maybe they can pull it off. It'll take a while, and it'll require a lot of civilian casualties. But I suppose it's possible. So point number one is that Netanyahu is not going to suspend operations there. It's not like the Israelis have said, okay, well, we got a ceasefire deal. We're leaving the Gaza Strip. We're just, we're going to up and leave now. That's not what he promised. So, and then number two is any antagonism violates the ceasefire deal. Hell, it doesn't even
glad
need
there.
to be
Thanks for
Hamas
joining
or a
us.
trigger-happy
Glad to have you, man.
IDF member. It could be a third-party saboteur that wants the fighting to
I've been playing
continue.
guitar in here
There are plenty of
sometimes,
those
so
in the
if you wanna
world. A
watch,
lot
look
of
at my
money is made
highlights.
off of these conflicts.
Look at
What
my past
reliable
live streams.
guarantee
Come on
do
back
any of us
anytime,
have
brother.
that the ceasefire deal doesn't fall apart within the first week? None. And you're dealing with an Israel with a leadership that has to go gung-ho because it's already been promised. They've pledged to rout Hamas. And with Hamas, a
Old
non-state
sticks.
actor,
Wearing
kinda
a
sort of,
MAGA hat.
that has a tendency not to really give a damn
what
about
else we got
holding
here?
to diplomatic agreements. Under the circumstances, I can't really see it holding long term. The best you can hope for is that you go back to the seeming calm of the pre-Hamas paraglider
marijuana's
invasion era.
reclassification
That is, you
became
still have
US
rocket
drug
attacks,
policy.
you still have hostages, you still have terrorist
Trump
acts.
dropped the N-bomb.
All right, everyone. A few
pretty
days
sure I heard
ago,
about
one of
that
the
when it
former
happened.
producers of The Apprentice
Like,
said
it
that
was
in private,
controversial
Donald Trump
even at the time.
was fond of using the N-word, specifically related to Obama, and something about, well, they expect this N-word to win, or something to that effect. I thought, at first I'm like, hee hee, chuckle. I'm like, oh shit, I've heard this story before. Supposedly Donald Trump had Russian hookers piss on the Obama's
Donald
bed.
Trump.
There's a real problem with Barack, I'm assuming, which makes no sense since he doesn't care as long as he's getting money and was a member of the
We don't love
donor
Trump,
class
we don't
at the
hate
time.
Trump here either.
Link
I
in the
mean,
description, archived of course.
Biden kinda
More
ruined the
salacious
economy,
rumors.
made the
Just
price
like
of
Russiagate,
gas go
that was
up.
never real.
Fuck
Just
that,
like,
man.
Trump and his people fucking around and framing Hunter Biden, that never happened. The laptop was Hunter's in Israel, along with all of the weird pictures on there. Mostly uninteresting, because I don't like looking at cocks, unless I'm looking in a mirror, and I don't like looking that much either. Hee hee. But, there were pictures of Joe Biden on the laptop meeting with people he claimed he never met, and then we were told that it was just the illusion of influence. Yes, he talked about the weather to people, and they threw money at Hunter Biden for the novelty of getting a phone call once in a while by the former vice president. That made a whole lot of sense. Over and over and over again, with Donald Trump, we have salacious rumors from people who supposedly are in the know, and supposedly there's audio of this, but I don't have the audio. Supposedly there's audio of this in the least. Now, but maybe they're holding it back for an October surprise. You're telling me, because The Apprentice ran on TV quite some time ago, right? This is back in the Bush administration. You're telling, the rising Bush administration and the beginning of the Obama administration. You're telling me that somebody has audio of Trump actually using the N-word, which has been rumored before anyway, but they've never released
bro.
it to the public before.
Yeah, bro.
Did you misplace the
Little
DVD
sassy
or the
the
flash
Sasquatch.
drive on which this was present? Because that seems to be a recurring facet of claims about Donald Trump. I wouldn't care even if he did say this, because in the context he's sort of talking about the racism of white political class against black people, which is actually interesting. I doubt it, though.
classic.
I doubt
They
it like
said
I
it,
doubt
not
any
me
claim
defense.
about any politician unless there's corroboration. Like with Me Too cases. Okay, somebody has a couple claimants claiming that they sexually assaulted them 15 years ago. Where's the proof? Is there any form of evidence whatsoever for the claims that you're making? The bigger the claim is, the more proof I'm going to want. So with Al Franken, where I've got a picture of him groping a sleeping reporter,
Al Franken.
that's acceptable. We have corroboration. We have an actual picture of this happening. They tried to claim that the legal team said it was actually part of a skit or a joke or something that
Fucking
never came from
sicko.
the actual litigant in that case, which was extremely sleazy, underhanded, and should have led to somebody getting disbarred, but nothing ever happened to them. We're not exactly sure what the source was,
Hell
so
yeah.
prosecuting them would be a little bit more difficult. But if you just say, hey, that happened, and you don't have a picture, there's no rape kit or anything like that, then I say, well, then fuck you, basically. The same is true like with the Jean Carroll case. I don't believe Jean Carroll, because there's absolutely no corroborating evidence whatsoever of any kind. Trump has been repeatedly punished and litigated against in a case where there is literally nothing. There's no witness, there's no rape kit, there's no picture, there's no video, there's no audio. You got literally nothing other than a claim. Apparently the litmus test these days is if you're a political outsider, anyone can claim whatever they want about you, and it doesn't matter if they can pony up so much as a single text message to even establish that you were in the place that they say that you were in at the time that a crime supposedly occurred. This wouldn't be a crime. It would be politically inconvenient. Well, then release the audio. You can trump the Trump, right? You've got Trump dead to rights. You've got an audio clip of him saying the N-word. Oh, that'll rile up the liberals and turn off some independent voters. But, days later, we have absolutely nothing. That's probably because they have absolutely nothing. It's happened again, multiple times. This has been happening for years. And the standards of journalism even bothering to report on this, by the way, of course it's going to come from Slate or the Daily Beast, but to have even supposedly mainline corporate media parroting this largely uncritically. And then down the article, like 5 paragraphs later, but when reached for response, when we reached out to the claimant here and we wanted this audio recording and they didn't pony it up. Absent that, and with the mildest of criticism or the mildest of asterisks applied, even they're reporting on it as though it's self-evidently true. It falls into the TDS category of Orange Man bad, therefore any negative claim about him must of necessity be true. So Donald Trump reads Mein Kampf every night. He rapes everyone that he sees that has a vagina. Maybe he's rapes everyone he sees with a dick too. Who knows? Maybe they'll make that claim. Donald Trump is secretly bisexual. He had a tryst with Andy Cuomo and his brother. Well, I mean, if they claim it, it must be true, right? It's basically like the entire legacy media has devolved into Weekly World News. They went out of business, by the way, years ago, and probably more truthful than half of the legacy media. I saw a stink piece the other day where they were rambling and whining about the distrust of the mainline media, newsprint and cable and so forth. And it was a poll related to the Trump verdict, right? And they lamented this fact. But people who do not absorb legacy media propaganda overwhelmingly favored Trump and considered the trial a corrupt sham. People that paid attention to Joy Reid and stuff, magically, somehow, they believed that the verdict was proper, that the trial against him was perfectly appropriate, and of course that Orange Man bad. They have that orthodox, very mainstream opinion, based on literally no evidence, because none of these claims against him have ever panned out. What was it? Was it Tom Arnold who claimed he had a tape of Trump saying crazy shit? And then he said, well, I can't release it to the public. I got death threats. Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. No, it's because you don't have a fucking tape. It doesn't exist. You don't actually have a tape of him pissing in the Obama's bed. There never was an incident where he was in anime pajamas surrounded by Russian hookers watching porn and relieving himself. None of these things ever happened. The most fantastical claims that you can make about Donald Trump, though, are considered to be the God's honest canonical truth by a certain subset of the population that seems to lack critical thinking skills. They've been so mind-numbed by propaganda that even, let's say, devil's advocate, let's say Trump is a bad dude. It doesn't mean that any specific claim about him is necessarily true, right? Joe Biden is a bad dude. That doesn't mean that if somebody claims that he has a death ray that he uses to incinerate small animals in his backyard, that doesn't mean that the claim is true. Just the fact that he's creepy and he's way too touchy-feely with the young'uns doesn't mean that he actually raped a kid in his basement, now does it? I mean, it's believable, but, we don't have any corroborating evidence. We don't, thankfully, we don't have a video of an elderly Joe Biden sexually assaulting a prepubescent girl or something like that. No, I mean, use some critical thinking. No, Trump used the N-word. Oh, well, that's a little bit too convenient. It just fits in a little bit too well with the other claims about him, but none of them have been actually corroborated. Some of them have been completely disenfranchised. It's been happening for years. It's actually maddening. It gets frustrating because people actually believe this sputum, this fucking horseshit. That's about all. Peace out.
Well then. The aftermath of a suspected cannibal murderer. Satan. Another scandal hits California. What scandal would that be? When was that published? Lefties losing it. Lady prefers to be called it. Well, I mean, look at her. And some people are crazy. Motherfucker wanna be called it.
Now it's time for Lefties Losing It. Here's a young lady seeking validation, but not as a woman or a man. She prefers to be called it.
I think that I would like validation for my gender identity.
Yeah,
There's some
bro.
pictures of me.
I'm sure
My
you would.
pronouns are it and they. I enjoy looking like a clown. I kind
It
of view
and
myself
they.
as a doll. I don't abide by
Hello,
gender.
it.
I'm built different.
Now to Washington,
How is it
where they
feeling
are
today?
celebrating segregation in the name of diversity. Yes, a health clinic only for black and brown people.
Wow.
And watch as the NBC hosts and journalists.
I thought they ended that because the level of care was not up to par at the black and brown clinics. That was. At least that's what they said in the USA.
Feel that they are hurt automatically.
There's a real need in the community for this. Restoration Center actively works to help the industry become more diverse. They train professionals so that they can keep these folks in the community, working in the community to serve that need.
Alright, y'all. I got to go let my freaking dog out.
To add that component to other mental
I know,
health.
wow.
That's great.
Wow, about the girl?
Wonder if,
Because, yeah,
white
she's freaking
folk or, I don't know,
crazy.
heterosexual folk who wanted to open a clinic that
See, people don't think it'd be like that,
else,
but
whether
it
that would
do.
be
They're like,
accepted and indeed
you made that up. You just saw that on
Sitting
TV.
back
No,
and
there are
saying
really people out there like that.
arguments
They are really
that they're
brainwashed by the
about
government
feeling
and
more
schools
comfortable
and
among
shit,
their own. It
and
applies
man,
to white folk as well,
it's
but
totally fucked.
we don't allow that for good reason. Now to Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib.
Like, I'm just a
a
realist. See, back in the day, they would have told people like that, you know, learn to love yourself. Accept yourself for who you are, you know, whether you're a man or a woman or, you know,
which also
gay or
hosted at
straight,
least one member
pretty or
of a
ugly.
designated
I mean,
terrorist
accept yourself. Learn to
organisation.
be happy in your own
And
skin,
it
man.
was also
That's it.
funded by the Chinese Communist
That's what I
Party,
try to
or
tell
an
people,
asset
you
from
know.
the Chinese Communist Party. Let's listen to this Lefty Losing It.
Welcome to the most beautiful, blackest city in the country, the city of Detroit. We birth movements on environmental justice, on women's rights, and so much more. So welcome, gain strength from this amazing, beautiful black city.
There she is talking about
Right.
women's rights and racial justice, and then she goes
Well,
straight into
good for her,
sipping for an
and good for them.
unapologetically
now-
misogynist and often racist culture.
What is your
while
actual
calling
platform?
The
What
only
are you
real
gonna actually
democracy in
do?
the Middle East, a genocidal apartheid state.
Our country, and I say our country because it is our country.
And yeah, I might
Billions of
smoke,
dollars
but
to maintain
I can still
apartheid
vote.
government and support the ongency ethnic cleansing of Palestinians.
Whether that actually does
Interfering in the
anything or
legal
not.
process is nothing more than an attempt to prevent the genocidal maniac Netanyahu and his senior Israeli officials from being held accountable for those crimes against humanity.
Not gonna lie, I'm not the biggest fan of what
Democrats,
Israel is
she's one of
doing right now
yours.
either, but
you know, there
you
is
know.
an arrogance, nastiness, and sense of entitlement.
I'm a registered
from some
independent, so I'm
lefty
allowed to, you
activists, and
know,
that includes
take
trans
the best of,
activists who
both
demand
platforms,
that
so
we
why
share their
not?
delusions.
I wish we
And
could
one of
have a
their
politician
favourite
that would
targets is
push that
recording
platform.
and shaming minimum wage hospitality workers. We've played dozens of such clips. Here is one that has gone viral again. It's from fast food outlet Popeyes in America, where young Alex was abused for allegedly
Popeyes, I'm in
saying,
America.
"Sir."
It's like every single day, you guys, and this is what I complain about all the time. Look, what's his name? What's your name? Alex? Yeah, your name's Alex, and I'm gonna be talking to your manager. This guy called me sir. This happens every day. Everywhere I go, I get called sir. No, stop trying to gaslight trans people.
That's
Like,
because you look like a literal man, you big motherfucker, you giant. Good
Did you call me
God.
sir again? What was that? You said goodnight, sir? This is transphobic.
I mean, bro, I got long hair,
You're
I have long
bigot.
hair.
All right.
but
There you go.
I'm not a
Classic
trans.
cry
And
bully
if somebody
behaviour.
calls me
That
sir
dude
or
is
ma'am,
being
I'm just gonna
aggressive,
motherfucking
abusive,
correct them.
and still
Actually,
convicted.
I'm a sir,
And it ain't over
you
yet.
know.
Now he equates the
Yeah.
word sir to the N-word.
Doesn't matter.
It's a slur.
And
Do
you
not
call me
understand.
asshole if you want to. I've been
It's
called
like
that
if you call a
before.
person of color the N-word. Don't you did. I don't care. I have the right to be pissed about it. You did. You did, you liar. Cis people need to be held accountable for how they treat trans people. And I'm not gonna put up with this shit anymore. Don't call me bro. Stop throwing slurs at me, you piece of shit.
Did he actually say, "Don't call me bro"? Stop.
I used to
throwing
do a lot
slurs
of
at me, you piece
plumbing
of
work for
SHIT.
Popeyes.
Can
A
you
friend of mine had the
imagine
contract
behaving so unhinged and so
for all the
abusive
Popeyes in
while
my
also
area.
pretending to be the
In the
downtrodden
Memphis area. We are
victim?
in the Memphis
And a
area. I'm
reminder,
not
we're
ashamed
only
to
seeing
admit
this
it.
video because that
We love it
activist
here. Memphis
posted
kicks
it
ass. That's why I'm
online
playing the
himself.
blues.
Posted it some time ago, but it's gone viral.
My dad used to take me
again.
to Beale Street when I
Bad
was like
news,
fucking 9 years old. Shoot, maybe younger.
Cis, I ain't bro. You ain't know me. Don't call me sir. This is transphobia. Right here on the comments.
In the end, a real woman had to step in and show the dude out. Poor Alex. But if you're wondering who the activist was, because we didn't see much of him on that video, well, here he is with this mad rant about the incident.
Popeye Chicken needs to know that is not okay. That
Oh my
boys are,
God.
like, calling trans women sir, because they're always so spineless and weaselly. But the world know at least this, that if you do this, if you go and
Oh,
you
God.
a
You're
trans
gonna be sick.
in public, we can hold
Ralph.
you accountable.
Oh my
We're
God,
gonna
I didn't think it
back
could
to
get any
saying
worse, but it
someone
just got worse.
well.
Gosh, that whole ordeal reminds me of this classic "It's Ma'am" moment.
Excuse me, it's ma'am.
It's ma'am.
You need to settle down and mind your business, okay?
CF A7 and what?
Ma'am.
Let me enlarge the chat for a
It's
second.
ma'am.
I actually said both of you guys. It was a general.
Right beforehand, you said sir.
Sir? Okay.
Mother take it
CF
outside.
A7D minor. That's what I thought it said.
Sir.
I apologize.
Mother
Let's see what we could do with that.
Tell me what's more
CF A7D
ladylike
minor.
than that. Let's do more lefties with
Fixing the
my
chat.
next guest. Have a look at this activist judge, a mad ideologue who thinks gender is assigned at birth. Here is Judge Sarah Neal, who is a vital judiciary naturally, and she had a rough day being questioned by the likes
Wait,
of Senator
is this?
John Kennedy.
We passed upon the
What
stairs.
matters more? The rights of individuals or your political ideology?
Are you trying to get me to play Man Who Sold the World?
I asked a question, which matters more?
My political ideology doesn't matter at all.
Okay, so I don't believe you. And I think this case demonstrates that you are willing to subjugate the rights of individuals to satisfy your political ideology.
Obviously, I don't remember the chords
Involves a male
for that song, but so what's CF A7 and D minor?
who raped a 9-year-old boy. Was he guilty of that?
Yes, the petitioner pled guilty to that.
Okay, so he raped a 9-year-old boy. He also raped a 17-year-old girl. Was he guilty of that?
Pled guilty. The petitioner pled guilty to that crime as well.
Was he guilty?
I hope so.
You may notice how careful she was in referring to
My
this
nails are a bit long,
serial rape.
and this guitar has a very thin neck. It's a 60s Gibson. It's actually either a 66
Yep, I think
or a
you know what
69,
happened there. Here is Senator
based on the
Kennedy
serial
with a
number.
great
And
state
my
of
dogs are barking.
Texas. laying out
If you look it up,
precisely why
the
this
serial
lefty
numbers
is
at
not
that time
fit
were
to be
not
judge.
up to snuff.
1 year after being released again, he was
I'm
convicted of
leaning it to
child pornography,
69
correct?
because of that pick guard.
I'm unclear on exactly the time frame.
And I have the
here, but
original
Petitioner was
rosewood
convicted of
bridge that came with it, but I
Child
replaced
pornography
it
that
because
was
I wanted a
given
little
is
bit
other
brighter
adults
tone,
violently raping
louder,
children.
brighter.
for which there are real
And this is 6'2", biologically a man a minute ago who said that
One requited dream,
decided that he was a
a
gay
song that no one sings,
quote, I wrote it down.
unattainable. She's a myth that I have to believe in. All I need to make it real is one more reason. You don't know what to do. Don't know what to do. When she makes me sing.
So you took a 6'2" serial rapist, serial child rapist,
Everything to me.
and he said, no, I need a woman in prison.
Song that no one sings. I don't remember the next part where he goes, and I
What I'm
won't let
saying
this
right now, that
build
if you
up
put this
inside
person in
of
a female
me.
prison, there will be a risk of sexual assault to the women. And you know what you did? You said you didn't care about women. It is clear on your record, your political ideology matters a heck of a lot more than the rights of those women that you endanger. I think you're a radical, and I think you have no business being it.
Joining me now is another great Texan, the host of Primetime with Alex Stein, the man himself. Alex, how many of these activists, these ideologues, has Biden managed to appoint to the judiciary? That one he was trying to promote to the U.S. District Court.
Yeah, you know, that's actually, there's another instance too in jail in New Jersey where an inmate got a male transgender, biological male in the female prison, got 2 female inmates pregnant. So this is not just a one-off deal. This is some sort of weird agenda, not only by the Biden administration, but by the LGBTQ administration.
We need a better video, man. Sky News Australia. I love Australia. I have
This is pretty
Australian and
disgusting.
New
We're talking
Zealand
about how
friends,
these
but
trans people are taking over women's sports. Now they're taking over women's prisons.
now they're taking over women's prisons. Oh my God!
It's just so unfair.
I was gonna close the video, but
Many of them
that's a
have
spicy
history
subject
of being
right there.
victims of sexual assault. They're
Are you
vulnerable
fucking kidding
population,
me?
and to be putting a predator amongst them, crazy. But you know
What
what?
the
We've got it happening
fuck?
right here in Melbourne. Our biggest female prison has a sexual predator with male genitalia identifying as female there. So it's not just the US. Now I've got to ask you about confronting
my God.
independent US presidential
Man, these
candidate
people.
Robert F. Kennedy
They need to bring back public hanging.
Seeking answers
That's all
to
I can
questions
say.
from him
Is
from a
that's not
range of
hate speech,
topics,
is it?
abortion
I
to
can say that on
climate
Twitch,
change
right?
To the CIA killing his dad.
Yeah, I mean, every abortion is a tragedy.
I think you know the CIA killed your dad, the CIA killed JFK. Why don't you talk about that more, Bobby? Are you afraid, Bobby? Well, then speak to me.
Wow, that didn't go as well as I was hoping for you, Alex. Do you have any more clarity on the guy? Because he seems to be all over the place with his policy positions. One day he seems to be very anti-woke, and the next he seems to be advocating for abortion right up to birth, third trimester abortion.
Well, there's some very important issues that I don't agree with him on.
shit.
Like you said, abortion. The fact that he says that he's anti-vaccine, yet he had a private party at his house where he made every guest be vaccinated. And then on top of that, when you look at
Man.
Kennedy, is that he
Guess I'll put the guitar back down,
We gotta
man.
stop all these
Put it
wars
back
in
down.
Ukraine and Israel,
Slowly step
Palestine.
away
So,
from the guitar.
ideologically, we don't align on a lot of stuff. And I think that his campaign would be going a lot better if he would talk about trying to reveal the deep state or expose the people that are actually
I
running the
wish you
country.
would step back
Because he
from
knows
that
that his
ledge,
uncle
my
was shot by the
friend.
CIA. I mean, a lot of people would say that's a crazy conspiracy, but he goes around and he talks about this and says that himself.
Well, he seems to be. I'm on the fence about him because I just don't know where he stands on a range of issues. His position seems to shift, and here he is being asked about the excesses of the transgender movement, and again, his answer here is a bit worrying. He seems to be in favour of
looking at the technicals in the background, you know.
surgeries as long as
Sorry
their
about
parents
that.
consent to it.
My
Hit
position
bong
is that
again.
People should not be able to have
Hit
access
my
to
ding-a-long, hit the
technology
bone.
that minors should without parental permission. And you know, I don't know enough about it, Patrick, to say that it should be completely illegal for
Under
all
18?
No, but, yeah, I just don't know enough.
What do you make of that, Alex? He is a man who's been surrounded by very much liberal, left-leaning folk his whole life.
Anybody got Saturday plans?
A lot of his
I don't know. I'm
politics
supposed to
leans
DoorDash.
that
I might hit up my friends later this
Yeah,
evening.
but to let these kids get gender reassignment surgery, you know, under 18, these kids aren't allowed
Oh,
to go
shit.
drink alcohol.
Speaking
They're
of,
not
gotta
allowed to
run and
smoke a
grab my
cigarette.
phone.
You have to be 18 to get a tattoo. So there's a lot of legal requirements to do stuff here in America. But unfortunately, guys like, you know, Bobby Kennedy wants to let kids chop off their
I should have put
genitals as long as
fresh
they're
water in
sign
that
off.
motherfucking
Which
bong.
is disgusting because these hormones, even if you don't get the surgery, these hormones have
That was a
permanent
missed
damage to
opportunity.
these kids' reproductive systems and their maturation into young adulthood. So it's something
Well,
that really
on that
shouldn't
note,
be something that
I
is
think I
known.
might play us out of here. Check out this music video. Oh shit. This video kicks ass. He's got cats. You may have heard the song before on ADP, China or somewhere.
I can almost see it.
Yeah.
When I take a
That's a
breath,
coffee
you
pot
fill up my lungs. And if my mind works backwards just for a minute,
Oh my god, it's her again.
only you before the memory's gone. I remember you. You lift my spirit. With you high is all I'm feeling. Remember how we felt alive. I remember you. You make me stronger. Can't go without
I have
it
kitties
much
too. I've got
longer.
3 kittens.
Remember,
I'll show you the kitties.
I remember you.
Come join the next stream.
You lift my spirit. With you high is all I'm feeling. Remember how we felt alive. I remember you. You make me stronger. Can't go without it much longer. Remember.
Game over, sucker. Whoa. Yeah, boy. We out here. We out this bitch. Gotta go get my phone and go to work and do shit. Make money. Moolah, 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 moolah.
When I close my eyes, I can almost see it. When I take a breath, you fill up my lungs. And if my mind works backwards just for a minute, I hold on to you before the memory's gone. I remember you. You lift my spirit. With you high is all I'm feeling. Remember how we felt alive. I remember you. You make me stronger. Can't go without it much longer. Remember. I remember you. You lift my spirit. With you high is all I'm feeling. Remember how we felt alive. I remember you. You make me stronger. Can't go without it much longer. Remember.
This is my jam, girl.